Hola riferos, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos a un nuevo capítulo de Central Reef. Como siempre, primeramente muchas gracias por sus suscripciones y por ver estos capítulos. En esta ocasión vamos a tener un par de capítulos especiales. En diciembre pasado, que fue ahora hace un par de meses en el 2021, fuimos invitados a la inauguración del nuevo acuario de Central Reef en la Ciudad de México, ahí en la zona Esmeralda. Y pues bueno, también fueron invitados Jake Adams y Sanjay Yoshi. Tuve la oportunidad de entrevistarlos a los dos. En esta ocasión entrevistamos a Jake, él es de Reef Builders. No te pierdas la entrevista y pues está muy interesante. No olvides activar tus subtítulos en español, ya están aquí listos para eso. Y pues bueno, bienvenidos, vamos a disfrutar la entrevista.
Hello Reefers, we are here on the opening of the Central Reef in Mexico City, and we have another visitor, that is Jake Adams from Reef Builders. Jake, thank you to let us do this interview to you.
What's going on, fellow Pokemon Go player?
Everything is okay, I'm happy to be here with you. All right, then Jake, give us a little brief background of the hobby. I mean, how long have you been here and the hobby?
I've been into aquariums for about 25 years, and maybe like in 1998 I started keeping reef tanks, and it just progressed into something that was very, very deep. You know, the more you peel away, the more you discover what there is to discover. You know, and even if you gather a dozen of these so-called experts together, we still have lots of questions. And so it's the kind of hobby that keeps you endlessly motivated.
All right, yeah, on the new things that you're learning every day.
All the time. I mean, LEDs are barely 10 years old, right? And they exploded our ability to see and develop and stimulate more colors from our corals and from our fish. That is one thing people forget. Like, if you have really good colored lights, you will have really great colored fish.
What kind of color light do you like?
It's all about the job. So some lights will really cover the entire spectrum, okay, and have a really broad spectrum reach, a very great CRI. And there's a few others that have a great punch in the deep blue and the purple. And if you take brand A and brand B, they probably both look great, but you put them together, you're gonna get the best of both worlds.
Is there any I'm talking about lights, any brand you like?
All of them.
All of them is the same?
Almost all of them that you may have heard of, I probably am using right now.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. And about the other equipment, I mean, skimmers or these kind of things that we use on the...
I mean, I think Sanjay and I are pretty much on the same page when it comes to protein skimmers. I mean, a lot of protein skimmers will work really, really good. If you want to take it to the next level, you want to be a little bit more critical about things like noise, power consumption, durability, longevity. Protein skimmer bodies are forever, right? How do you break a protein skimmer body, right? But if you have a great pump on just about any body, it's just about the user experience. How easy is it to dial in? How well is it going to fractionate, the foam from your tank? How big is the skimmer cup? And how easy is it to remove the skimmer cup? So when it comes to protein skimmers, it's less about like the best and more about just how the person interacts with it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. What else about the...
I just want people to know, like, social media is a keyhole into the world of the reef aquarium hobby. It is not everything about it, It's just like the beauty magazine covers, right?
Right.
Only certain kind of things get featured on the cover page. But if you dig a little deeper and you have some books, the books are so important to verify and reference anything that you hear online or in your store or on forums or in friends. I think it's still really important to purchase books.
Okay.
And people aren't into books so much right now, but they are so cheap on Amazon, on eBay. All the books that used to cost $70, $80, $100. They're like $5, $10, $20 now. So you can build an entire like reference library for the same price as a very high-end frag.
That's true. You know, we have here in Mexico a little bit problem that almost all the good books are just in English. There are no have in Spanish or in other languages editions.
Yeah.
And it's a problem, but it's okay. I mean, the people who at least read in English, it could be a very good option, right? To do that, right?
That's a different challenge, and I don't know how to address that because I haven't faced that challenge.
Okay. I would start doing translation for that, and that's for them. No, I'm just kidding.
You never know.
I would like to move a little bit. Yesterday I made a question to you regarding the brown jelly disease.
Yes. So it's not like absolute. First of all, there's no absolutes in life. Therefore, there's no absolutes in aquariums, right? And so I had some challenges in my Euphilia tank. I have a tank full of Euphilias and some Galaxias, because people don't know that Galaxias are micro torch corals. And so I started seeing some issues. And there's two different problems. One of them is the brown jelly, which is better known. And the other one is more just like the polyp just closes up and falls off the skeleton. But there's no necrosis. There's no recession. It just falls off. And I started seeing this just out of the blue after I got some newer corals, some newer torches. And I did it was a desperation. It was out of desperation. I isolated that tank, put a power filter on it, and I treated it with ChemiClean. Okay. So ChemiClean is a treatment for cyanobacteria. And so to treat bacteria, use an antibiotic. I believe it's a form of erythromycin. There's different forms of erythromycin. It's not just one, right? And I'll tell you what, you have to use very strong aeration. Protein skimmer is not the same kind of aeration that you get from pressurized air, right? So I use a regular air pump, two very regular air stones down the bottom of the tank. I turn the whole tank into a protein skimmer, basically.
All right.
And you dose the ChemiClean. And 2-3 days later, do a little water change, and I didn't lose another polyp. And I've shared this technique with some of the coral farmers and coral dealers and wholesalers, especially for torches, right? Okay. So all your Euphilias and Fimbriphilias, they can get ailments, some kind of diseases. But torches, they like fire, fuego, they just burn out. And if you have a tank with a lot of Euphilias, you can do a shorter treatment of just keeping your Euphilia in a nano tank with a ChemiClean treatment, 24 hours, 48 hours. And that's probably going to be the kind of quarantine we will do for most corals in the future, not just Euphilias.
Then, but the receipt using the ChemiClean is like the direction says? Just whatever it says. Okay, but you have to aerate very strongly. Is a secret.
Before you dose ChemiClean, go online and type in, ChemiClean tank meltdown, tank crash, and in every instance, the people did not aerate their tank. When you dose antibiotics to your aquarium, it consumes oxygen, and normally that's not going to be affecting your corals or your fish, but it's going to affect your sand bed. It's going to affect the rocks. It's going to affect the detritus. No, it doesn't kill, it just consumes oxygen. And it creates a reaction that just progresses, and then as the sand bed and the rock consumes oxygen, then that's going to starve your fish, and then that's going to starve your corals. So it's just,
like a change.
I approached it very carefully, and now I think I will ChemiClean all my tanks once a year, automatically.
Need it or not?
Right. I might wait a year and a half, but I slowly did it to every tank, and you know what? The Euphilias looked good before I did the treatment. Okay. They looked fine. Before they started getting sick, they just looked fine, and they would just kind of do that. But after I did it, man, I'll tell you what. No, all the corals look 10 to 20% bigger. They just something about them just resounded. And I did it very carefully with clams, with acros, with fish, LPS, SPS, soft corals, and I was nervous with everyone. I did every tank. You couldn't tell that I used ChemiClean, other than most of the corals looked like a little bit better. So I did it in tanks that didn't have any problems, and the corals just looked a little bit better. You couldn't even tell that I had used it.
Okay, then it is. I mean, you are talking about chemically. It's gonna be the same for any treatment for cyano. It's gonna work the same.
I don't know because people have different recipes for that.
Right.
Right.
You are sure of chemically. The other ones you never tried.
Right.
All right, good. Any advice for the hobbies and maybe for beginners or for advanced that you suggest to them to do or something?
The same thing for everybody. I mean, so when I set up the studio, I set up probably about 10 tanks at the same time. All different kinds of lighting, all different kinds of corals, and I had to relearn everything. I mean, I knew everything, but I relearned everything going through the steps of setting up tank after tank after tank, and re-experiencing, Valonia and hair algae and cyano and, corals that aren't super happy. And, the best advice is, one, never stop learning. Even the stuff you knew can be like refined. The things you really know can still be refined as far as it's applied to the reef aquarium. But more importantly, forget about numbers, man. Don't try to hit numbers for anything other than salinity. Hit your salinity, hit your temperature, calcium, magnesium, alkalinity. Those are good numbers to aim for. But everything else, like, look at your corals. Do you want to spend? Is this a hobby about looking at corals, or is this a hobby about looking at test kits? Because for me, it's a hobby of looking at corals.
Yeah, you have to see your fish, your coral tank,
Your
fish tank to see if it's healthy or not, right?
Observation is more important than all the other tests combined, right? And then the last thing I'll say is about coral color. Everybody wants to know, how do I make my corals more colorful? And I don't know why this is, but nobody says corals need to be healthy, right? You can have perfect lighting, perfect flow, perfect nutrients, perfect chemistry, perfect environment. You put a coral skeleton in there, it's not going to be colorful. You put a sick coral in there, it's not going to be colorful. The coral has to be healthy in order to be colorful, right? So people chase light, they chase alkalinity, they chase higher pH, they chase trace elements and amino acids and like weird voodoo additives, But if the coral's not healthy, it's not going to be colorful, right? So observe your corals instead of chasing numbers. If you want colorful corals, observing them is going to be the only way to tune in to whether they're healthy or not. And that is the only gateway to having very colorful corals.
Okay, and if I suppose my tank is not healthy, then I have to see first, the salinity and the most important things or numbers. Then after this, I have to see another things like stress or something like that, or.
There's a myriad of factors, right? It's really hard to condense it into this interview.
Okay.
But if you're watching your tank from day to day to day, every day, all the time, you'll know. Hey, you know what? Once a week, my elegance coral closes up. That's what he does. He takes a poop, and he looks like crap one day a week, right? But if you never watch your tank, and you saw your elegance coral or you feel it kind of closed up, you might freak out. But like, for example, I know for a fact that certain one of my euphyllias, they close up towards the nighttime. Not nighttime, but like when it starts getting dusk, they'll start closing up and they'll open back up in 20 minutes. And I would say with a great degree of confidence that people mess up their tanks from overreacting.
I agree with you.
Way more than regular care. The way people try to handle issues in their aquariums usually causes more problems.
Yeah.
Almost certainly.
Oh no, my alkalinity is down. Put a lot of alkalinity something.
You can add a lot of buffer, but you have to do it gradually. Even a few hours. Just don't overshoot.
Yeah, the pH change and everything. This kind of thing.
And even after reefing for 25 years, man, every time I'm doing something new, I have to actively remind myself to take it slow. It's so easy to find something that's starting to work, and like, oh, it's not working, let me add more. And then next thing you know, you're like way outside the limits. You know, so like overreacting.
Slow.
Yeah, and very slow and steady. Nothing good happens fast in a reef tank. That's the most important. Yeah.
Good. Now, the most important requirement to you. Tell me something in Spanish from my friend.
Oh. Inglés es no mi lengua primero. Mi lengua primero es francés. Je comprendo el español europeo.
Okay.
Better than American Spanish.
Okay.
It's the tempo, that's all.
Okay. Muy bien.
Me adoro los corrales duro. That's what I got.
Le gusta la cerveza too.
Yeah.
Sí, sí.
Oh yeah, yeah. Cerveza, tequila, mezcal.
Oh, he knows
A little
the
bit.
names.
Poquito. Just a little bit.
Small shots.
Yeah, just a little bit.
All right, Jake. But thanks a lot for
Cool.
this interview.
Make sure you subscribe to Oso Reef like me. I watch a lot of YouTube channels in other languages, and I might not understand everything that they say, but you can glean information from common terms, and you can see what gear they're using and how their corals are looking. And make sure you subscribe to Oso Reef, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions about Central Reef, Mexican reefing, and I'm sure this guy can get you set up. They're going to be in a comment section answering all your questions. And thank you for watching this video.
All right, let's try. Thanks a lot. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you again the next time. And to you too.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Right.